Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. We have a very special guest, Anthony Henry. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't complain. How are you guys?
We are good, man. Thank you for asking. It's cold, it's freezing, typical British weather, but apart from that, we're good, aren't we, Callum?
I was going to say, it's actually been really nice today. It's like
I think
it's been
freezing.
probably the warmest day of the year so far.
I've been freezing.
It's all a matter of perspective, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, we're going to chat last week, things to talk about, and then this big thing happened where you messaged me, said you're on a plane. We'll find out why. So
we did find out.
We did find out. I mean,
yeah.
How did that come about? What was that experience like as well? I mean, being in the ring with Bryan and Mox. How was that?
Oh, man. Yeah. So, again, my apologies there because we had it scheduled and everything. But, yeah, I found out on like 10 hours notice.
Right.
You know, wow. So it was that the night before, it was like 11:30, something along those lines. And I was pretty much winding down, getting ready for bed. And yeah, JD Drake, gave me a phone call. I'd gotten like some messages, like on Facebook Messenger or whatever, which I was just like ignored because, you know, I don't care. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so then he calls me and he doesn't call me and I don't talk on the phone. I don't answer the phone for anybody. So.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so it's him and I'm like, oh, well, if he's calling me, I need to answer. There's got to be something going on. And so I answered and he's all, you know, kind of excited and almost like out of breath. And like, I guess he had just gotten off the phone with them. And he's like, yeah, so can we be there tomorrow? Can you be there tomorrow? And yada, yada, yada. And we didn't know what it was per se, but we had been pushing the idea of using us as a tag team, of course, there because he's already there, but he's in kind of the group he was in. And, you know, I don't want to take away from that, but at the same time, it's like our thing has been, you know, we're good as singles guys. And, you know, I still think we're two of the best in the world, just, you know, in the singles competition. But I do think that we add something different as a tag team that's not out there right now and something that's a little bit special when we come together. So, yeah, we were pushing that. And so, yeah, he's like, hey, can we be there? And we assumed it was a team, you know, thing. And so we get there and we're waiting. And then you're playing the waiting game, which is just hurry up and wait. So you're there, but you still have no idea what's going on. And we're kind of like trying to snoop around and we finally get word that it is what I suspected, actually, because I saw that, you know, they were going to be debuting and it was us. And for me, personally, Bryan Danielson is the greatest wrestler to ever do it for me. He's my favorite, absolute favorite. So just to be in the ring with him was crazy. Mox is another guy, obviously, that's done so much, so talented. And, you know, it was 4 minutes, but man, it was a blast of 4 minutes. And it's our first time there as a team, and we got to do it with those guys. So it's like, you know, I couldn't ask for more as far as that goes.
Yeah, and it was the first time we saw those two teaming. And obviously the first time we saw you two as a team on AEW. So it was like the debut of two teams on the same night. And I just remember thinking, like, Jamie messaged me the next day and says, oh, so we know what he was doing last night then. And I was like, yeah, Ringsiders, AEW Dynamite. And I was like, yeah, we'll let him off on this one. I think that's, you know, and when we saw the actual match, I just remember thinking, Jesus Christ, like you said, 4 minutes, but I could have watched that for another half an hour. Like, the exchanges between you and Danielson specifically were insane. And
well, I think, great now, didn't you? You want the singles match.
I want that match. I want the singles match next. That's got to happen.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like I already said, he's the GOAT for me. So that would be the match that would, you know, that would be the one to make. If I had a dream match left in my career, that would be the one. And yeah, that was just all about maximizing minutes, man. This was like, hey, we're gonna be in there. I'm like, all right, well, this is what I want to do because I want to go ahead and we have 4 minutes to do this, and like, let's just whatever time we have, let's kind of put on display what we're about. It may not be much, but like, let's in the time that we do have, let's show the people like what we do.
Yeah, there was a huge positive response for you as the Workhorsemen, on Twitter, Reddit, and I know they're only a small percentage of the fan base, but they were very vocal about how happy they were to see you as a team.
Sure.
So many people were using the hashtag, like to sign you as well. Was that quite, how did that feel, seeing the positive response after your match? So many people come into AEW and, that it might be a one-shot thing. But with yourself, it seems like everybody wants to see you back. So how did that feel?
Yeah. So for me is my notifications did not stop for like 3 days. So and majority of what I did see was positive. I mean, you always have the outliers, the fans who had no idea who we are, and of course think that we're talent enhancement, or that we don't belong, whatever. I get that. That's just kind of part of the being in the business, and the fans they just don't know. And my just a quick thing on that is just like, I always hear like, when they see somebody new on TV, it's always like, I don't even know who these guys are. Like, what are they doing? And my thing is like, this is like, okay, so you don't know who we are. That's fine. But did you know who John Cena was the first time you saw him?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you know who
Exactly.
was the first time you saw him? Like, at some point when you saw a wrestler, you didn't know who they were. And that does not mean that they're any less talented, right? So it's always funny to me that they say that. It's like, yeah, every single great wrestler in the entire world. Yeah, I'm sure. But no, that's whatever. But yeah, the amount of positive reviews we got off of it was amazing. And like I said, even like a small thing, a small detail, like, you wouldn't think would matter that much, but like, so we knew we had the match, but we just assumed that like we'd go on there on live TV and we just kind of be in the ring, and we were, but that it would just be that. And then they put up the graphic, promoting the match with our names, or our tag name, on there. It had been anything, I thought JD Drake and Anthony Henry, but they actually put Workhorsemen, which meant the world to me. Actually, it meant the world to us. And they also put us over as like a decorated tag team. The commentary put us over as a reputable team. And so yeah, man, it's just been wild, and the feedback was great.
Yeah, I thought that was such a cool little detail that they used your actual tag name, like you said,
Yeah,
because now you can look at that graphic, that it's in the history books now. The Workhorsemen have been in AEW on Dynamite on TNT.
yeah. And
That's
then
cool
also,
as
like,
fuck.
just a little tidbit is like, we would see Tony Khan like in the hall, and like as opposed to him saying JD Drake, Anthony Henry, he would just look at us and smile, like, "Hey guys," he's like, "Workhorsemen, yeah."
So he likes it too. Was he a big fan of the whole you as a team in general? Then is he familiar with your work?
Yeah, so I know he knows of our work, and then like we did the thing with PWG against Malachi Black and Brody, and
Yeah.
I think he had heard about that as well. And so yeah, and again, we've been pushing it, so he's aware of the work. And then I think he was happy with the match with Mox and Danielson as well. I mean, again, 4 minutes, but I think we did what we could in 4 minutes, and I think he was happy with it.
Yeah. Speaking of Tony as well, I mean, obviously he's just signed Ring of Honor. Is that something you're keeping your eye on as well? I mean, obviously you guys wanting to work there, getting signed. I mean, he's talking about booking Ring of Honor himself. Is that something you're keeping your eye on as well?
Yeah, I think so, because one, Ring of Honor has always been a place I always wanted to wrestle anyway. And, that again, that's when I started out, in 2002, Ring of Honor was just kind of starting up, and I kind of found out about it about maybe a year or two later, and I was just like blown away by the product and the type and style of matches that they were having, and that kind of influenced me a lot, especially in the earlier years. So wrestling in Ring of Honor, number one, has always been a goal. And then number two, I think it's something that's going to happen, in a good way, because there's so many people at AEW, and that's not taken away from any. There's so much talent at AEW, great talent, and you can only do so much with the TV time that you have. So having Ring of Honor as possibly being another outlet, to use the existing roster is a good thing. And I am okay if I fit in Ring of Honor or if I fit in AEW. My main objective, my main goal is just to have a contract of some sort, by the end of 2022. So I can, have a reason to stay around and not like be pushing this thing that is, working out or not working out, It's like
Yeah.
we gotta figure something out by 2022. So wherever I fit in I'm more than happy to fit in there.
You're one of those wrestlers. You mentioned it that you're a big fan of early Ring of Honor. I can just tell by your style how sometimes you see a wrestler and you go, yeah, they watched Ring of Honor. Like it's in the nicest way possible. Like it's a compliment. Like you've got your Bryan Danielsons and stuff. He influenced a generation of wrestlers. So did CM Punk. And I think if you watched early Ring of Honor, you either became like a CM Punk or you became a Bryan Danielson. And you've taken the Bryan Danielson route, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. You can tell you watched early Ring of Honor, and it's such a delight to watch because when you do get in the ring with him, must have been a huge bucket list moment for you. But your styles are so perfectly clashed, and it's left the fans wanting more. So hopefully, and I'm sure I speak for Jamie as well, hopefully it's not the last time we see you in AEW anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think it. I'm pretty confident that it won't be. Whether it's with alongside Drake or not is the question, but I'm hoping that that's the case. Also, a little funny tidbit is like we're in the back and kind of talking about the match afterwards, and JD Drake looks over to Pride. He's just like, yeah, it's just like looking in the mirror wrestling, like you two, like it's almost the same. I was like, oh, if anybody thinks that, even if it's a minority, then like that makes me happy. It makes me smile because again, he's my favorite, but I think he's also objectively, he's kind of like up there in most people's list as well as being at least the top 5. So, yeah.
Did you get any feedback from Bryan Danielson on the match or anything?
Yeah. I mean, they were happy with it. There was no complaints. I mean, they even actually went on record as saying, well, on record with us as saying, wish we had more time. Hopefully, we can do it again with more time and actually have like a legitimate, time, some time to get out there and get after it. So if that happens, man, that'd be that's the one.
Did you get a chance as well to talk with Regal? I mean, obviously you must know Regal from your NXT days. Did you get a chance to catch up with him as well?
Oh yeah, we definitely talked before the match a little bit, because he was talking and we were all in the locker room before the match, and I just again thanked him for what advice he'd given me in at the PC, because he was always there at the PC, at the TV tapings, and he would always have lend his ear and give you any advice, and he was always just so passionate, and he always gave the best advice, and I just remember he used to always just tell me, just like, don't get cute, like be a fighter, you're a fighter. It was like, hey, you're right. I mean, and like I said, I put it on Twitter a few days ago, I think, is that out of all the coaches there, and there were a few, but out of all the coaches there, I think he got what I was after the most.
Yeah.
Which would make sense, obviously, since he, helped mentor Bryan and stuff like that, and the styles and stuff. But he understood what I was trying to accomplish out there, whereas some coaches necessarily didn't get it. They just like trying to defer me, or like, yeah, let's do this, and like, and I get it because they all have their preferences and their styles. But I think William Regal, like, he understood me.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Callum earlier, he's a great signing for AEW. I mean, to have Regal on screen, but also behind the scenes as well, it's a hell of a get for them.
Absolutely.
Before more, I just was, well, obviously, I remember your match on AEW Dark with Eddie Kingston. Obviously, what was it like being in the ring with Eddie? Because he just seems like the most realist person. I mean, what you see is what you get.
Oh, he is. Eddie's one of my favorite people in the wrestling business. Like I have some history with him. He was at Evolve at the same time I was with Evolve for years, and I've wrestled him probably 4 or 5 times at this point now. So having the match at Dark actually was a godsend in a lot of ways, because I didn't know what to expect going into that, because that was my first time there, and I just gotten released, and literally it just happened to coincide with my my non-compete coming up. The date that they were doing the tapings, and they asked if I could be there, and I was like, sure, let's do it, because I was still in Orlando at the time, which is where the tapings were. And so I got there, and obviously I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm kind of nervous, like, I just don't want to get in there like with any I hope it's good. And I think Eddie actually asked for me,
Right.
So he asked for the match, and then once we got the match, he was he's always it's Eddie. He's just always so giving. And if you watch that match back, I got more offense than probably most people would in a dark match. But I think that was the point that he was trying to make, was to show me off, which is, I can't thank him enough for that. And I think that kind of also set the precedent of like the way AEW was going to use me when I was there, because I had that match with him, and then I had the match with Lee Moriarty. And so far, for the most part, all the matches that I've had it's been a huge benefit to me, because they've showcased me in a lot of ways, and I'm not getting eaten up out there or anything. They're actually showcasing me. So if it wasn't for Eddie, I don't know how that would have gone.
Yeah, I feel like Eddie's one of those guys who pays it forward, because when he debuted against Cody, he said a similar story where he wasn't meant to get much of a shine, but Cody said he wanted him to get a good showing and made sure he did. So when you've come in, he's made sure he's returned that favor for you too. And I think that's something you've got to respect that about Eddie Kingston. Is he'll remember and he will pay it forward.
Oh, for sure. If you're one of his boys or one of his people, he's gonna do whatever he can for you. And he's done that time and time again. Not just with me, I've seen it with other people as well. He's, like you said, he is the realest person probably in professional wrestling.
Without a doubt. He is, like I say, he's just one of his promos. When he speaks, you believe every single word that is coming out of his mouth, because I dare say it's because he's telling you the truth.
I was about to say, because he believes it. It's because he believes it.
It's so true. When he did that program with Punk, it was only for a month, but when they were talking, I was just like, I couldn't help but side with Eddie in that feud, even though it was CM Punk and I've wanted him to come back for so long. I couldn't help but side with Eddie, because I was like, well, I can't help but believe what you're saying is true. And if what you're saying is true, Punk's a bit of a dick. And I've got to side with you in this feud. He managed to turn me against CM Punk, my favorite wrestler. So, he's an incredible guy on the microphone and in the ring. So I'm hoping he's one of these guys who, 2 or 3 years from now, he gets that Dark Horse Championship run. Even if it's only for a couple of months, I want to see him with the AEW Championship at some point.
Yeah, I can certainly see that happening. I think he's a big value to the company. I think they know that as well. I think they know that. And so, I can see it happening for him. And I hope it does, because it couldn't happen to a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, totally, man. I'm going back a bit as well. Obviously, your time. I mean, what was your time in NXT like as well? I mean, you said how great Dynamite was in AEW. What was the NXT experience like?
Okay, so I've gone on record saying this. I have no complaints about my time at the Performance Center. The only complaints I can have, are the way it ended and how that was all managed. But as far as my time there, what I was able to do and learn, and who I was able to learn from, like I said that I came in at I felt like a high level of a performer, but I walked out like a couple levels higher than where I was at, for sure. And I was only in the 6 months or so I was there, and so I can only imagine how that would have been if I would have stayed longer. But I mean, I can't complain, because I mean, I was a month in, I was on TV for the entire time I was there. So I got to learn the TV style, I got to learn how to properly work the cameras, and which is a different thing that you don't get to learn on independent wrestling as much. A little bit better now, because you have a lot of streaming services that you kind of have to pay attention to the cameras more, but it's just different when you're on a TV product as opposed to an independent product. And so I got to learn that. And, I had people like Regal and Finley, and, H Steel was one of my favorites. Hideki Suzuki at the time, like all these people around me. And I learned a lot.
Yeah, it must have been cool learning from Ace Steel, knowing that you're an LA Ring of Honor fan as well. So someone, Second City Saints. Yeah.
So
I think we go ahead.
No, go on, mate. You go.
I was saying we had several conversations about like some Ring of Honor stuff in Japan, when he was in Japan, and just various things, Ring of Honor matches and stuff.
Yeah. I was watching it back the other day, the best moments of the Second City Saints, and I just remember thinking, God, that was so cool back in the day. The Second City Saints, what I would do, I know it's pretty much impossible, but what I'd do for a reunion of that at some point in the future, but I can't see it happening, but you never know. Stranger things have happened in wrestling, so maybe it will.
I never thought CM Punk would actually return either. So
good point. Yeah, good point.
There you go. I mean, what is it they always say in wrestling? Never say never. So you never know.
Very true.
You never know. Right? What's your thoughts on the current NXT as well, Anthony? Like NXT 2.0. Have you been watching that?
I will be honest. I don't watch a lot of wrestling, period.
Right.
If I do watch wrestling, it's some independent stuff and a lot of Japanese stuff. And a lot of that is even older Japanese stuff. It's not even current. So what I have seen of the new NXT product is exactly what I figured it would be based off of the firings or the releases. New management came in and they kind of cleared house, and they had a vision of what they wanted it to be, and that's exactly what it seems to be now. Is young group of young people who are out there in their early 20s, mid 20s, big, strong, athletic, and it's nothing. I have no ill will. It's not my preference of what I would watch. Probably, I do think Braun Breaker is probably going to be a star, which he already is. But I knew that. I knew that when I was there. I even said it before he even had an official match. Like he had some performances at the live events we would have in the PC just in front of the coaches. And I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be, a star. But yeah, large in part, it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. And it's a great learning experience for those that are involved in the product. Obviously, they're on TV every week if they get to learn on the spot. And so I wish all the best for everybody involved. There's some good people involved.
Yeah. I know you as well competed on 205 Live. Do you think more? Do you think more could have been done with that program? I mean,
the amount of work that could have been done with that product. I mean, and that's going like from the inception, right? So at one point, the talent pool that was on there was like one of the best talent pools ever. Like if you really want it from an in-ring standpoint. So it's always been a show though, like was just kind of slept on, and unfortunately, but it is what it is. Like, and even when I was there, we were trying to do things, in terms of like making angles and stories happen, and they just didn't really seem to be about it. It was just more of a spot holder. It was a show just to get people in the ring and maybe even get them ready for NXT when they move up to NXT or whatever. Get them some TV time. And that's fine. It was just matches. That's all it was. And I think we had some good matches nonetheless. It's just, it wasn't we were never going to have the spotlight,
Yeah, because I think I read somewhere that Triple H had big plans, didn't he? He wanted to make it its own brand and, and take it places, but nothing ever developed. And like you, I think it was a shame because you look at the Cruiserweight Classic and then 205 Live, and like you said, some incredible talents on there. I mean, it is a shame that it never got to continue.
The problem with 205 Live was it completely lost its identity because it was meant to be this cruiserweight show, 205 Live, and then you started to get guys who were 400 pounds wrestling on 205, which is, I mean,
that happened at the end of my run. I remember, looking at the card and these guys were on the card. I'm just like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing now? Like, I don't understand, but okay, you do what you do. I'm getting paid regardless, but it doesn't really make much sense in my mind, but okay.
The name made no sense in the end, did it? It was just a random show where you had guys of any size wrestling, and it was like, what's the 205 standing for at this point? I mean, and that's why I'm happy they changed it to Level Up, because say what you want about the name, but at least it makes sense. It's like a development show for NXT. That kind of makes sense. It's got a purpose. But 205 Live, at one point, you had Pac, you had all these incredible names, these upstart talents, so much potential. And then it seems like they just decided, just make it into another main event or something. And
Basically,
Yeah, and which was such a shame because, like we've said, it had so much potential. But I really think a lot of people did realize how much good wrestling was on that show week to week. Some of the best matches of that week, hardly anyone was seeing because they were on 205 Live. But if you actually watched it, there were some incredible matches that were just going so under the radar. But on Reddit every week, you'd be seeing people saying, "Oh, check out this match, check out that match," and some people would be like, "I just can't be asked to watch 205 Live. Why would I?" And some people are like, "You're really missing out if you're not watching 205." And I, it's just such a shame more people didn't see it. But for you, I mean, did you see that split reaction as well, where it was like either people were saying you've got to watch it, or some people saying don't waste your time or anything?
Oh yeah. It's we'd have like the graphics pop up for the matches or whatever, and you'd have some fans who are like, this show it still exists or whatever. It's like, hey, we did it. You're like the 1,000th person I've seen post that same exact tweet. We get it. You're so cool and like hip.
Edgy.
But I just don't get like the negativity that's on. Just don't say anything. If you don't want to watch it, cool, don't watch it. Why do you got to make a comment that's obviously just negative and in nature and like it's just but anyway, so we had our core group of people, fans that obviously like loved the show. They were all about it. Like, they would post every week and on Instagram and everything about the matches and what was going on. And like we had definitely a core group of fans that like really were into the show. But it's just hard when you're not getting the spotlight, and it's just clear that we're just kind of going through the motions. Now the wrestlers weren't going through the motions, but I mean in terms of production and everything else involved in it, we're just going through the motions. So why would the average fan want to like tune into the show that obviously it's just kind of a throwaway show, Let's just wait and watch NXT or whatever. And I get that too.
Yeah, I get you. Again, going back to Level Up, I feel like they've actually realized this is what we should have been doing with 205 the whole time. It should have been a feeder to NXT. If we're not using you on the main NXT show weekly, we'll put you on this show. So at least they've found a purpose for that. But like we said, you don't have to worry about that now. You've got your eyes set on other goals, other things you want to be doing. You want that one-on-one match with Bryan Danielson. And again, I'm sure Jamie agrees. We've spoken about it a little bit since your match last week. I think that's where, selfishly as a fan, I don't have any say over your career. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I would love to see more of you on a permanent basis in AEW. Is that what you'd say your priority is right now, or are you just happy wherever you go?
No, I'm not happy wherever I go. Like I'm just trying. So my main objectives in wrestling this year, following the release, and you gotta remember that like I'm 20 years in at this point. So it's like for me, it's like I've been chasing this thing, and like it was. Never thought it was going to happen, and then it was given to me, and then it was taken away as soon as it was given to me, right? So it's like I had a light at the end of the tunnel, that it was like it went dark again. Right. So I can only put myself and my family and everything else that I have going on in my life through this for so long before I start feeling, regardless of how supportive they are, because my wife is like, do your thing, like. You're making money doing it, and that's fine, and I am, but independent wrestling is a lot different than having a contract. I have to go out there and I have to make sure I have X amount of bookings so that I have X amount of money coming in and travel and everything else. So my main objectives, one is the contract, like I mentioned, is have that security. I would love to continue doing this professional wrestling thing as long as my body will allow me, but I have to have some sort of security, I have to have something that is justifying me to do what I'm doing. And then number two is just have fun. So if I don't get the contract, it is what it is, but just have fun. So it's quality over quantity for me now. It's have matches that are interesting and fun, wrestle for promotions that are interesting and fun. And if I stop having fun, I don't need to be doing it anyway. So contract. And number two is fun.
Yeah. And I can see, that hopefully both of those happen somewhere like AEW. Let's fingers crossed. You get that Danielson match, you get that contract, and you'll have a whole lot of fun doing that. Let's be honest. Like,
I would. I would have no doubt about that. That would be both goals combined. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah, man! But before we wrap things up as well, mate, I mean, is there anything you want to plug and promote? You got any merchandise, your social medias?
Yeah, my handle for pretty much all my social media is ANTNY. So if you were to say Anthony, that's Anthony without all the syllables. Anthony Henry at everything, Twitter, Instagram, which are the two main ones that I use. Facebook's there, but I don't really use it. I don't know if anybody does anymore, right? But
no.
I have a TikTok that I have, but I don't really post anything. I just watch dog videos.
Good choice.
Yeah, so that's about it. I have a pro wrestling tees also, but I am a constant procrastinator, and the graphics that are on there are like something like 10 years old. So yeah. Maybe one day I'll get on that and switch the things up and get some new stuff on there. That's about it. That's all I got.
That's great. Well, we can't thank you enough, man, and we wish you so much luck. And hopefully, we'll see you again on Dynamite at some point.
For sure.
Hell yeah, man. But for now, Anthony Henry, thank you so much, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. Peace out.
Anytime.
Thank you, Matt.
Take care.
See you soon.